Smash the like button for this upcoming presentation. We're super excited. We got a little interview going on here, and we're super excited for this next one. We're definitely ending on a high note today. And there is an awesome editor at Benzinga and a good friend of mine, Dustin Blitchok. Dustin, how are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Brad. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I'll let you take it away with our interview.
Well, I'm here this afternoon with Bill Lee, the chairman and CEO of Knightscope, a company that is coming today with some very exciting news. They're set to begin trading probably next month on the NASDAQ exchange. Bill, would you like to start off today by telling us sort of the mission behind Knightscope and just the need for security that you're trying to address?
Sure, Dustin. Thanks for having us. Greetings from Silicon Valley. Our slightly ambitious long-term mission is to see if we can make the United States of America the safest country in the world. And we have developed and deployed these autonomous security robots to provide officers and guards really smart eyes and ears for them to be able to do their jobs much more effectively. It's a unique combination of autonomous self-driving technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, and electric vehicles. And proud to say that we've now operated over 1 million hours across the country, and we hold contracts from Hawaii to Rhode Island, and actually started to provide a positive impact to society. If you go to Knightscope.com, please visit the crime page so you can see the results.
How many models do you have of the autonomous security robots? And could you talk a little bit about the different types of technology that you're already deploying to detect crime? And, literally, how are these robots operating? What are they using to see around them?
Yeah, so there's multiple models. There's the robot that takes your job, the other one that kills you. Oh, sorry. It's a funny talking point. Everyone's like, oh, the robots are coming. They're going to kill you and take your jobs. And, honestly, that's not the case. So we have 3 autonomous security robots in production. Let's see if I do this right. Maybe go the other way. We've got a stationary one that's indoors or outdoors, that ingress and egress points for lots of people or lots of humans. A K3, which is about 4 foot tall, 335 pounds, primarily for indoors and hospitals. And then our most popular model is the K5, which is 5 foot tall, 400 pounds. Our verticals that we're typically in, commercial real estate, malls, government facilities, manufacturing plants, logistics, hospitals, casinos, basically anywhere indoors or outdoors, mostly outdoors, are where you might see an officer or guard is an opportunity for us.
And they can measure, they have cameras, they can measure, is it temperature? They're looking for cell phone signals, all kinds of things in a given environment.
They have X-ray vision, they know what you're wearing. No, sorry. So they have an ability to detect a person. You can detect the person. You can treat your mobile device as if it's a license plate. Or you can read 1,200 license plates a minute. So a use case might be simply a major corporation, terminated someone last week and it didn't go well, and you're worried the person's going to come back. You can flag the person's profile pic, their MAC address for all their devices, as well as their license plate. And now these machines are on the lookout 24/7, 365, and gives the officers and guards an ability to have their eyes, ears, and voice, because you can speak through these machines, on the ground remotely.
What is the interplay between your robots and the companies that are deploying them? Do you have a security center or some sort of interface for the alerts, things like that?
So these are 90+% of our clients have their own security operations center. These are tools for the officers and guards, or in case of a law enforcement agency, would be 911 dispatch, literally, that utilize these as tools for them to do their jobs. So yeah, we have a browser-based user interface that these machines generate over 90 terabytes of data a year that no human's going to be able to process. So we put that in a digestible format for a human to be able to utilize and interact with the machine, send messages, start kick an alarm on, park the machine. And these are running 24/7, fully autonomous. You're not remote controlling them. They're literally running on their own. across parking lots, up and down parking structures. You might see them at the Houston airport. We have clients such as Citizens Bank or Samsung or the like, and as I mentioned, some retail as well.
Is your goal to eventually replace some human security, or do you see it as a cooperative effort between Knightscope's equipment and law enforcement?
I think your audience might appreciate a few stats. So there are 1 million law enforcement professionals in the U.S., about 1 million security guards, running 24/7. So you can't triple shift a human. So at any given point, there's only 500,000 humans trying to secure 328 million Americans across 50 states. That math doesn't work, and it's proven by the fact that crime has a $2 trillion negative economic impact on the U.S. every single year. It's a hidden tax we all pay in blood, tears, and treasure. So the opportunity here is the country is not popular to say, is short-staffed of officers and guards to be able to properly secure the country. And it's about time we give them the tools for them to do that. We do that for our soldiers. There's the Department of Defense has a $700 billion budget, almost $800 billion this time around. And we give our soldiers every level of capability you might ever imagine. But on our own soil, we have the technological equivalent of trying to secure the country with a number 2 pencil and a notepad. And that needs to stop.
Speaking of economics, what is your model for clients? If Benzinga were to buy one of these robots or lease, or how does it work if we had one patrolling our office?
Well, to keep an eye on you, Dustin, definitely we can make that arrangement.
Maybe we need more than one.
So maybe to put it in context, an off-duty law enforcement officer armed with a weapon, and this ranges widely across the country. So plus or minus, just for discussion purposes, about $85 an hour.
Okay.
And unarmed, a security guard, depending on what you want him or her to do, $15 to $35 an hour. Again, varies widely across the country. Our machines go out on a machine as a service business model, so it's a subscription, all inclusive, at an effective price of $3 to $9 an hour. We sign year-long contracts running 24/7, so they generate, let's say, just for argument's sake, nearing $100,000 a year in revenue. Then we recover that cost in that first calendar year of the machine. And then the second, third, fourth, fifth year, you almost have an annuity, or as I like to say, you end up with luxury automotive per unit economics, i.e. you're buying a new Tesla every year, but the margins look more like a software as a service company.
Wow. You're in the middle of a roadshow right now, aren't you? I believe when we first met a few weeks ago, the company had just announced plans for a listing on the NASDAQ, and I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit today. What do you expect to achieve by bringing your company public and with those funds?
So we've raised, the company's over 8 years old. We've raised over $100 million to build all this technology from scratch, made in the USA. We physically design, engineer, and build the machines here in Silicon Valley. And it's time now that, we're backed by over 28,000 investors in 4 major corporations. We're looking forward to accessing the public capital markets to continue the growth of the company. So we're in the process of working through that in a very, I guess, unique set of circumstances, because it's not normal to list a company with that amount of shareholders. So we've have a lot of things in process, but things are looking good.
And do you expect, with the added funding, do you anticipate launching more models? I know we've talked about the need for a wide variety of sizes for different use cases, and you said that's something that we could really see expand in the future.
The way I think about it is, if you're serious about the mission, like you want to make the U.S. the safest country in the world, like criminals and terrorists don't care that you secure casinos only, or hospitals only, or corporate campuses and schools. They're basically everywhere. So if you want to really be serious about this, we kind of need to be everywhere, and indoors and outdoors. So you're going to need a extra small, medium, large, extra large versions of the machines to cover all 50 states in every kind of nook and cranny. And I think that's part of the next 10 to 20 years of building out a very large portfolio of products but they also need to do much more than they do today. We want the machines long term to be able to see, feel, hear, and smell, and do 100 times more than a human could ever possibly do. And then now we have a chance, my long-term, aspiration is to put 1 million of these machines out there to complement the 2 million humans that are willing to take a bullet for you and your family. But the level of technology that we provide to them is certainly beneath the dignity of this country. And so I think over the long term, we'll be able to achieve that. And as always, we're profoundly grateful for our investor base that have helped us write the first chapter in Knightscope.
I know we talk a lot at Benzinga about different stocks that are autonomous plays, and this has got to be one of the most interesting ones I've ever seen. Did you build that autonomous technology in-house? Do you have tech partners that you're working with? How does that look at Knightscope?
Yeah, we pretty much design everything in-house. We engineer it. It's a little pre-COVID. We used to have people over before signing a bunch of contracts that don't allow us to have lots of visitors. But who designed all this stuff? Well, we did. Well, who engineered all this stuff? The mechanical, software, firmware, electrical. We did. So where in China did you get these built? And I just want to just strangle and come over and let's go next door here and we can show you that we're building them ourselves. So we do everything in house. I think we are a very unique play in the autonomous space. Depending on who you believe, $80 billion has been invested in autonomous technology. There's 200 plus companies working on it. The collective revenue is close to zero. And I think that speaks to how difficult it is to operate in the real world with real clients.
And you already are.
Yeah, we've generated over $13 million of lifetime revenue thus far. And some folks would like to see that higher. No matter what number you put out there, it always needs to be higher. But my point back is the 200 guys behind us are kind of at zero. So, we've got a good start.
Let's talk about the problem of crime in this country for a moment. What motivated you back when this company started in terms of fighting crime? Did you see an opportunity just for technology, or did you see it as sort of something that was really restraining this country's economic potential?
Well, I'm not a roboticist, and sometimes I get criticized for running this company, and I consider us an advanced physical security company. By training, I'm an ex-automotive executive, based in Detroit. So spent a good amount of time there, which was awesome training for what I'm doing now. But it's more of a personal ambition. I was born in New York City. Someone hit my town on 9/11. I'm still profoundly pissed off about it. So I've dedicated the rest of my life to better securing our country. The country's over 200 years old. We're on our 46th president. The first role of government is to protect its citizens. And the country collectively, we're failing. And part of it is not having an innovation policy, risk capital, or an ability to strategize what needs to happen in order to provide the right tools. And I think that gives us the very significant opportunity. Most investors are always worried about the market for X, Y, or Z is going to collapse and the company's going to go under or whatever. Do you think the market for crime is going to collapse? All 7 billion people tomorrow are going to just wake up and start behaving and we've got nothing to do? I think for us, it's very unique. We've got a recurring societal problem and our business model is a recurring revenue one. And I think that's a really good match.
I'm sure you get asked this question a lot, so I wanted to put a different spin on it. In terms of the data collection that's happening with these autonomous robots and any concerns people might have about privacy, how much of that is a focus at your company in terms of protecting that data and making sure that what you do collect is secure? And is that a big priority for you?
So I think there's 3 concepts to think about. One, we've got numerous Fortune 1000 corporations as clients, hospitals, financial companies, banks. If we didn't have hospitals, if we didn't have law enforcement agencies, if we didn't have the basics covered, we wouldn't be able to operate. So that's the first thing. Second, we're halfway through a 2-year process with the U.S. federal government seeking an authority to operate. And that belief should give some confidence to our private sector clients as we walk through the process. And I think lastly, folks should know that, the data that we collect is actually contractually owned in almost all cases, I believe, by our clients. So we may ask for permission to utilize the data to improve our algorithms or what have you, but the client's data is the client's data, and we're not seeking to sell it, monetize it, use it for any nefarious kind of nonsense. We're pretty serious about our mission. And folks are like, oh, you have all this data, you should sell it. I'm like, me selling that data is not going to help the country be more secure. Can we please focus?
You just mentioned, I think, machine learning. Is that an aspect of all this where the more time these robots are out on the street, as it were, the better they get? Is there a feedback loop in that way where you're learning from what they're doing right now?
It's early days, but over time, yes. So one example would be we used to have, so we have our clients down our throat, literally 24/7, because they have an instant messenger chat with our staff that operates these, that supports these machines all day and all night long. And, hey, can you please move the robot over here? No, can you please move the robot over here? All we need to do is like, okay, you know what? Why don't we build you a patrol scheduler so you can go online and adjust the patrol as if you're the security supervisor for some man guarding kind of operation. One could imagine that if the human said, hey, at 4 o'clock, I need you to be in parking lot B, and at 7 o'clock, I need to be at parking lot D, and the machine over time learns that, hey, actually what you really need to be doing is the opposite. That would be really helpful use of artificial intelligence and machine learning.
That's amazing. Let's talk about some upcoming events. You have an investor day coming up later this month, and it might be a great time for people to join and learn more about the company ahead of the IPO. Do you want to talk about what people might expect on, is it December 16th?
Yep, December 16th will be 90 minutes, I think, 20, 30 minutes of me literally walking through the investor deck, and then 60 plus minutes of me getting grilled by some live Q&A. And I'm happy to do it. Our investors have been extremely supportive, and the least I can do is spend the time. I think another way we've been able to communicate with our investors is if you go to Knightscope.com and visit the investors page, that little blue icon at the bottom right, that is not customer service. That is not a service bot. That's me, the CEO, answering questions 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. For our investors to kind of help them through their diligence process and, kind of general investment related questions. So we try to be, as reasonably available as possible and try to be responsive and respectful. You may not like the answers we give you, but we do try to respond.
I know when I edit stories about a company that's going public, one thing that often comes up is whether they have any competitors. Do you have any competitors, or are you kind of out there on your own in this space, breaking some ground? I mean, how do you view your place in the market?
Competition is always good. There have been numerous attempts to compete against us, both startups and major corporations. Pretty much almost everyone has fallen on their face, given up, or gone bankrupt. I believe we're the only ones at any reasonable scale across the country. But, like in almost all sectors, competition does breed excellence. And, technology changes quickly. I almost welcome more folks trying to help the country, frankly. Like, I'm more focused on fixing the problem for our quote unquote client, which is the US, as opposed to, can we be the market leader for never end? That's kind of not the goal here. We need to fix the problem because obviously both the public and private sector can't seem to get their arms around this.
In terms of other catalysts that might be coming up for investors to watch, what was that federal certification you mentioned earlier? Was that for law enforcement purposes?
So FedRAMP is a cybersecurity extensive process, and you can read into that word extensive a great deal. It's a 2-year process. And we have pending federal government contracts that we can't perform on until we get through that cybersecurity pretty extensive review, which includes, in some cases, some technology changes, definitely some process changes. Honestly, it's painful, but at the same time, it's very healthy for the company to be doing that, so we can improve.
Any idea when we might see this stock listed on the NASDAQ, and any more details you can share about that process, which I know you're right in the middle of?
Yeah, you can go to Knightscope.com and learn all about that. As we've announced, we're in process. So typically, most of your viewers, I think, would know an S1 IPO. The underwriters or bankers and the selling group would do a 2-week roadshow behind closed doors and kind of give access to primarily institutional investors only, and with a little bit of retail. We kind of turn that completely the opposite way. Main Street first, Wall Street second. So we've been using our testing the waters regulatory phase that we're prior in to kind of let our existing investor base know and kind of get first dibs. And now that the SEC's qualified the offering, we can open it up to the wider market. And if there's anything left at the end, we'll certainly have some kind of more traditional folks involved. I think in the press release, we said it will be a 30 to 45 day process, subject to market conditions, obviously. But if at this pace, I think, sometime in January might be an opportunity, but, we'll see.
Well, this is a very exciting time for you to talk to us here at Benzinga, and I really appreciate it, Bill. Is there anything else before I go that I overlooked today with you?
The one thing you and your audience need to remember: long Knightscope, short the criminals.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. That was awesome. Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Bill.